And hello, everybody. Welcome to SportsSkope. I'm your host, Robert Butler, on this 10th day of June. We are exactly, let's see what we got. 13 weeks away from today of starting the NFL season. 13 weeks. Now, the preseason came out. It's a big deal now. It's a big deal. And I'm going to talk about that here in a little bit with Jordan Love. Well, that's a big story now. Every practice. I mean, we're in mini camps. Every practice with Jordan Love, it is going to be a must-see. He had a good practice. He rebounded from the bad practice on Monday we talked about. Had a good one the other day. Didn't hear anything today about his practice, whether they even did any mini camp practice or not. But that's going to be a big deal. So we've got that coming up. This 12-team playoff, this is a big deal. Mac and Jack brought it up to me the other day. I thought maybe they were kind of hem-hauling around with it. But now I'm reading, and I'll go into it here in a little bit, that ESPN, there was a big story about it. We've got presidents involved with this 12-team playoff. We've got commissioners, not just the SEC, Big Ten, Pac-12. This is a big thing, and there is major discussion about this, and I'll give you my thoughts on it here in a little bit. Montez Sweat and Sam Darnold bullied into getting the vaccine. I'll give you my thoughts on that, and also we got a basketball game going on, folks. Brooklyn and Milwaukee tied at 76. Now, this was supposed to be the game where the home team, usually in a tight, competitive series like this, the home team usually comes out and plays well, the game 3. They usually win. They're usually up big. And it's a 10-point game to blowout status, which is anywhere from 15 to 25 points. And Milwaukee's struggling, man. I mean, they were tied. They were up. It looks like they're tied right now, 76 all. So I got my black tie on for the Nets. The Nets are playing really well. I mean, for game 3, I thought this would be a 6 or 7 game series. This may be a 4 or 5 game series, probably 5. I think Milwaukee will probably find a way to win it these next 3 minutes. But this is probably 5, maybe 6, maybe. But this is probably a 5-game series. So the Nets are just playing at that level. And I'll say this about Durant. I don't know if anybody's been watching that game tonight, but there was a possession where Blake Griffin had the ball at the top of the key, and he looked at Durant. He was close to the three-point line. He looked at As soon as he looked at Durant, the whole defense stopped for Milwaukee, and he dribbles right to the rim. I mean, Durant's playing at that level right now. Him and PJ Tucker almost got into it. Tucker's almost fouled out. He's doing the best he can. When the guy's playing that well, it's not much you can do with him. You can't stop him, but you can only hope to contain him and the people around him. So, anyways, okay, so the preseason was announced today. Why is it a big deal? Well, you've got quarterbacks that could be traded. You've got quarterbacks that can be starting that's not supposed to be, all from this preseason. So it's a big deal, folks. For instance, Justin Fields looks to have a pretty good practice there. Darnell Mooney, receiver at Chicago, was pretty glowing about just catching the ball from Justin Fields. Now, I don't think he's going to start this year, but who knows? Who knows? For instance, I'm out of Nashville, everybody. If he plays, because they play game 3 of the preseason against the Titans, And if he plays well here in Nashville in August, then the Bears, which Ryan Pace is the general manager, he's on the hot seat. Nagy, not as much, but the head coach there. But this general manager who's he's on the hot seat. So if it's close, which they've got, remind you, they've got Andy Dalton. Of course, they drafted Fields. And they still got Nick Foles. So if this guy has a good camp and he shows out against here in Tennessee, which he could, secondary is not going to be good for Tennessee. My guess is Foles will get traded or Dalton will demand a trade. One of the two will happen, or both could happen. So that's how big the preseason has become. Now, again, this stuff about Jordan Love with Aaron Rodgers, if Rodgers, which I think he will, continues to hold out for the rest of training camp and Love in these 3 games, he looks like he can start. I think that Rodgers, again, we'll go over some of these games. See if I can find this schedule in here. I want to say I saved it, but then again, I may not have. I thought I did. I thought I saved it so we can go over it. But then again, I may have just tweeted this thing out, which is pretty interesting. But I'll say this. If it's close enough, I think that here it is. Okay. So let's see I'm trying to go for Green Bay and see. Because, okay, yeah, so they play Houston, the Jets, and Buffalo. That Buffalo game on the 26th of August, that's a key date, folks, because that's about 2 weeks before the season starts. There is no 4th game this year. They added another game to the NFL schedule. So if he plays well against Buffalo, the whole NFL could shift. Because my guess is, if I'm Mark Murphy, this president, Gudenholz, whatever his name is, that general manager for Green Bay, I say to myself, okay, well, we think this guy can be our starter going ahead, but we don't want the constant Aaron Rodgers energy around the facility. So let's go ahead and trade him now. We've got our mind made up on Love. Let's get that distraction out and let's make a run at the playoffs. Because they're going to get they have got a lot of criticism as well. Nobody is out of there's no clear-cut favorite who's at fault with this. Aaron Rodgers, known to be a prima donna type. When this new LaFleur was hired, when the new coach was hired, Murphy said, "Please don't make this a problem. You know, let's work this out with this guy." So apparently Rodgers has been a problem, but when Mike McCarthy, so that's been out about Rodgers. Then you fast forward to the drafting of Jordan Love. We talked about that. When the team needed defense, they traded up. So both of those stories are out there. They're both kind of what I'd say not favorable ratings. Both sides. People are taking sides. The media is always going to take the player's side. A lot of the fans take the team's side. A lot of the fans are divided. I think it's somewhere in the middle. I think it's divided. So my thing is they want to trade. If he plays well in that Buffalo game in August, Rodgers will be traded. Whether it be Denver or the Raiders, probably won't be for a quarterback. They'll probably trade for somebody with a higher pick. Probably not much of a player. Whoever's got the most picks. If you can get 4 or 5 picks versus 2 or 3 in a player, that would happen. If he does not play well, being Jordan Love, I think they will still let him play, of course, or whoever they're going to start. And I think they'll hold out throughout the season and then trade Rodgers either by the deadline or by the or towards the end of the season, because they want to get the better pick, because they're going to need to draft another quarterback. See, so that draft pick is going to be prevalent. So this preseason, those 3 games I just talked about, particularly that third game, that Buffalo game, if he has 3 or 4 touchdowns in that game and a very high quarterback rating, Rodgers could get traded the next day. He'll get traded before that cut down. And they'll be able to bring in some more players so they can move forward with their action. So that is huge. Other big key storylines to this preseason, okay? Same thing with now, I don't expect this, guys, but we have to talk about this. Same thing with San Francisco. They drafted Trey Lance. They got Garoppolo. My guess is Garoppolo's going to be lights out. He's going to be way ahead on the playbook. He's going to come in shape. He's not going to be doing idiotic decisions. He's going to be all in this year. He's going to play this year the way Aaron Rodgers played last year at an MVP level. He don't have to play at Aaron Rodgers level to get this team back in the Super Bowl. I'm really leaning on picking them to go back to the Super Bowl in the NFC. But for whatever reason, if Trey Lance plays well, he will be drafted or he will be traded. My guess is somebody like a Washington will trade for him. Ron Rivera, I want to say, he said that Matt Stafford, we were in the Matt Stafford sweepstakes. Remember, he was traded from Detroit to the LA Rams. So a team like Washington, keep an eye out. Now, this is a long shot, but from what I saw with Russell Wilson a few years ago, when he dominated camp that well, and this other free agent wasn't doing that well, I could not believe it. So Garoppolo could get traded. He could, maybe the Patriots trade for him. Maybe Mac Jones. He's had some rough outings. And you know, Cam Newton was just a stopgap guy anyways. But if Lance is lights out in these preseason games, which they normally don't mean that, but when you've got this much uncertainty at the quarterback position, this is unprecedented to have this much uncertainty, especially with guys like Deshaun Watson and Aaron Rodgers. You know, these preseason games are serious. Somebody like the Saints could go after one of these players. You know, it's a lot to can be said. Denver's going to be a big player somewhere. So Trey Lance, those are storylines. Jordan Love with Green Bay, his preseason play. Trey Lance is going to get plenty of snaps for the 49ers, I'm sure. And, of course, Justin Fields with that crowded room. Now, if Fields plays well, again, if he plays bad, none of those other guys probably get traded. If he plays good enough, reasonable, one of those quarterbacks will get traded. If he plays great, Justin Fields, Andy Dalton and Nick Foles both could get traded. Well, somebody's going to get traded from the Bears. And to who? Your guess is as good as mine, folks. But so that is what that is what's going to be going on right now in the NFL preseason. Those games were announced today. Just giving you guys an update. Brooklyn. Okay. All right, here we go. It looks like Milwaukee's up by one single point. I mean, and it looks like that it looks like Milwaukee's going to be okay, but there's 2 seconds left, so I don't know. I don't – man, wow. If you're a Milwaukee fan, you're just going to have to get another player there. It just is what it is. We're 13 weeks away. So, speaking of Denver, Kareem Jackson, former Bronco, said in a Aqib Talib podcast that he spoke with Deshaun Watson, speaking of Watson, and would be interested in being traded to Denver. So if you're a Denver fan and you've got you got Drew Lock there, but you got that potentially really good defense to possibly great, but really good. You've got a fair offensive line. You've got running back. You've just drafted a really good running back there. You've got Melvin Gordon. You have pretty good Noah Fant. You've got multiple wide receivers, including Jerry Jeudy. And there's been talk with Mark Schlereth a few weeks ago about Aaron Rodgers being traded there. And now last night, or the day before yesterday, or it may have been yesterday, Kareem Jackson on Aqib Talib podcast, Kareem, current Denver Bronco, said that Watson would love to be traded there. So if you're a Bronco fan, you have went from Peyton Manning to a bunch of average guys to potentially Deshaun Watson or Aaron Rodgers. If you don't get neither one of them, you're going to want to get rid of everybody there. So I feel like that their hopes are getting built up. Now, I do think that the Broncos are going to get one of those players. I really do. I think one of the two is going to get there. Now, if it's me, if you look at a guy like Watson, he's 26 years old. But Rodgers is one of the all-time greats. If it's a Rodgers situation, you can look at it like a Peyton Manning type of situation, 2 to 3 years Super Bowls. If it's a Deshaun Watson situation, you're talking an 8-9 year potential stint there, where you're going into playoffs and potential Super Bowls. So maybe now this being said, guys, Watson's got one of the highest completion percentages in league history. He's got one of the highest quarterback rating. As far as his legal concern is, I think it'll get settled out. I think he might get roughly 8 games. Worst case scenario. Worst case. But you don't have any of that with Rodgers, and you are immediate. You go from a team that might make the playoffs if everything goes right. Everything goes right with Drew Lock. If you have no injuries like you did last year, if the running game's good there, and say Kansas City, one of their offensive linemen, Cal Long, got injured today, and he might not be back until week 1. Then you might get into the playoffs as a wild card, potentially win the division. But if you put Aaron Rodgers there, then you go from that to possibly get to the Super Bowl. The head coach is not that bad a coach. He's not great, but he's not bad enough where he can coach you out of some things. If you put Rodgers in there with 2.5, 3 weeks to go before the regular season, with that offensive line, I think that it'll be a little bit of a slow start, but I think they'll be right in the thick of things. They'll be right in the thick of things, getting the playoffs, and things could happen. They could go to the Super Bowl the first year. Now, Tennessee just upgraded. Cleveland very well may make it even without Rodgers. They're so deep everywhere. And, of course, Buffalo and Kansas City are the top 2 favorites out of the AFC to go this year. But you add the pieces that they've added, the players that they've got coming back. And, again, like I said the other day, I wouldn't give up I wouldn't even ask for players if I'm Denver. Maybe a defensive player, but I really wouldn't get involved with players. Give me those picks. Let us make the picks. 3, 4, 5 years, first-round picks, maybe throw in a second round. We'll do it. So that would be interesting. Watson, yeah, he may get suspended. Then again, nothing may not happen at all. Nothing may not happen at all with Watson. That he may. I don't think he's going to play this year. But we'll see. We shall see, my friend. Sticking in the NFL, there was a story out that the NFL Germany, the NFL is looking into playing a game in Germany in the next few years. Now, I know a lot of you say that's insane in the membrane. And, a guy like Clay Travis brought up something the other day, and I didn't even think about this. The amount of troops that listen to radio shows here. It's in the middle of the night or very, very early in the morning there. American troops were based over there and listen to a lot of our radio shows. A lot of the troops make their way from Germany that are stationed over there to London for those London games. Not a big fan of those London games, 8 o'clock in the morning. It's kind of annoying. But, if you're thinking 15, 20 years from now, and I'm sure that the game wants to be global, it's just not in the footing with soccer or even basketball. Basketball is much more popular globally than the NFL. I could see it, and I understand the people with the distance and everything. Folks, they have these supersonic jets there is a jet right now, Pickles, that is being tried out or whatever you want to call tested that can get from London to New York in 3 hours. And 15, 20 years from now, who's to say we don't have a commercial airline that's a regular thing? Berlin's not that far. Berlin is not that far. Looking long game, if you wanted to do it 2 years from now, 2 expansion teams, I think that would be crazy. But it is what it is, man. It is what it is. Personally, I wish we would probably maybe put one in Toronto before we put a team over Europe. But putting them over there, you want to grow the game, try to get the TV market over there. The troops, Clay made the point about the troops. I can understand it, but it is what it is, man. You build a business to grow it. I mean, you said something about unbridled greed. That's called growing a business. So, speaking of the NFL, okay, Montez Sweat said that he wanted to look into taking the coronavirus. He wanted to get some more information, and I didn't like the way he put it, but basically he was saying, listen, man, I just don't want to get the vaccine right now, okay? And Sam Darnold said the same thing. And, of course, Twitter, they want to jump all on them. Just do the group thing, just pile on them. And you got people, some guy from Bleacher Report taking a shot at these guys. Well, it's going to be mutations and all that. And I thought to myself, okay. And I like how Twitter, which, just between me and you guys, I vie for the day for Twitter to completely go down. For just they're going to get regulated. There might be an administration or two away, but they're going to get theirs. Facebook, I know, and this is part of my broadcasting, but these big tech companies, they're going just like the electric company, just like the phone company, like the Supreme Court justice said. They put this crap out about the CDC. So they got this trending thing. Pickles, it's called trending, and they will put like a news story in part of the trending. And I'm trying to figure this out, and I'm going to see. I wanted to show you all what it was saying was the CDC says vaccine is safe. Montez Sweat, defensive player, I think he's a tackle. He's an end or a tackle. Says he does not want to take it. He wants to find out more about the vaccine. The same thing with Sam Darnold, quarterback down Carolina. And then they say, so they put that on their trending thing so people can go bully and harass Montez Sweat and Sam Darnold into getting the vaccine. I just talked to a friend of mine. She works at a allergy clinic, Vanderbilt Allergy Clinic, pretty close to the main hospital. And she said, we get all kinds of people that are getting side effects from the vaccine and everything. And you got 220-somethings. And, of course, people got on Sam Darnold about having mono for 3 weeks. I mean, so they harass them. So they're against bullying. They ban people they don't politically agree with, Twitter, and they really big on what do you call it, online bullying, whatever. But they put this stuff out so you can bully these young 20-something-year-old football players because they don't want to take your vaccine. And I love Bruce Arians, but he says, want to get normal, get vaccinated. Well, no, Bruce, you're 60-something plus years old. You're overweight, and you had a heart attack 3 years ago. You should probably take the chance on getting the vaccine. But respect other people's, concerns about getting the vaccine and let them do this. And Twitter, don't sit there and put up blah, blah, blah. CDC says that, well, the CDC has not did 5-year studies on a vaccine that came out a year ago because 5 years hadn't came about yet. Now, all that being said, okay, between the vaccine that's been out since the beginning of the year, I mean, it was officially okayed by the CDC. The Pfizer one was 2 weeks after the election, which is in November, okay? It's free anywhere you can get it. So you look at the percentage of people, we're talking minimum 25, maybe 50% now that's been vaccinated. You look at the people who got the virus and didn't know they got the virus, okay? You look at the people who has gotten the virus and known they got the virus and got over it, and the ones who didn't know. So you put all those people together with the amount of people that's been vaccinated. Look at states like Texas, full stadiums for months. Phoenix game was blasted the other day, full stadiums. Nothing. So basically, we're at herd immunity now, but it's just not air quote official herd immunity. But I just don't like how these reporters and Twitter and the little social media, they pick and choose who they want to bully around and then who they want to censor out. Yeah, there's no scientists, the effects of the shot. A friend of mine, Pickles, like I said, she, Miss Janaea, she was just like, I'm seeing a lot of the side effects here. And I was talking to her about that. And she's just like, she's not going to take it. And this person's a hypochondriac. She's a good friend of mine. And she's like, if you're like a good friend, a guy I grew up with, Stephen Pickles, he's going to get it a couple of weeks ago. Well, he's had health problems in the past. He's vastly overweight. And my last time I checked, he was going to get the Pfizer shot. And his fiance's family doctor or whatever, I understand that. But if you're in your prime, you have your concerns, it should be nobody else's business whether you get the vaccine or not. That's all I'm saying. Hold on. Let me restart this thing. Anchor. Okay. Now we're back. Hold on there, Pickles. We had to switch out my. So that's my thing about that. I got a little irritated with it, but hey, you know what? It is what it is. This is all going to be a moot point here pretty soon, folks. Okay, college football, Pickles. This is a serious thing here. This is one of those deals where I thought that when Mac asked me about this, I thought this was air quote in discussions. And apparently that's not the case. I mean, they are or rumored to be in discussions, but this college football 12-team playoffs, they're actually having meetings with You're talking presidents, commissioners, not just the SEC, Big Ten, Pac-12, all the there's going to be multiple meetings of this. And now you've got Bill Hancock. This is a guy that's over the playoff system as a whole. Nice guy, read his book. Great guy. He's got a book called Riding with the Blue Moth. Really good book. Good guy. Talked to him once. But this thing is getting serious traction, Pickles. So as far as what I read, this was from ESPN earlier today about this, is there's going to be 2 meetings and this thing could get approved here shortly. Now, according to Bill Hancock, this year, it won't affect this year or next year. So as early as potentially, now the contract for the 4 teams, that ends in 2026. But potentially this thing can be rewrote and adjusted, audited, or whatever you want to call it in 2023. So we're 2 years away this season, next season, from having a 12-team playoff, according to ESPN, according to Bill Hancock. He's the guy that's over this thing. And I wrote down some pros and cons. I'll say this. The pros to this would be that other regions will be interested rather than here in the South. You're going to get Midwest. You're going to get the Pac-10, Pac-12, excuse me. You'll get the middle of the country, not just Oklahoma. Texas will be involved. And then potentially, Carlos, you'll get the ACC, which will be the Northeast, right? So, and another thing, guys, that you haven't, maybe nobody's thought about, is these players that sit out traditionally for bowl games. Well, they're not going to be doing that if they're going to be playing in the playoff. I don't think they will. I mean, they could. Yeah, I noticed Milwaukee did win that game, and boy, they struggled, man. Woo! Boy, did they struggle. Let's see if I can find that, guys. But, and say, for instance, if the playoffs were last year, guys, now that I got both of you on here, this is what the Athletic put out. Alabama would have been the 1 seed. Oklahoma would have been the 4. Okay, excuse me. Let me go backwards here. The 8 and 9 would have been Georgia and Cincinnati last year. The 5 and 12 Pickles would have been Notre Dame and Coastal Carolina. Remember Coastal Carolina? Coastal Carolina had a pretty good record there. Tennessee was we were possibly going to get the guys from Knoxville. Tennessee wanted to get their head coach. Had a great season. Florida would have played Iowa State. Iowa State's got a hot coach that's been in talk. And Texas A&M, the 6 and 11, would have played Indiana. And those winners of those games, the 8-9, Georgia and Cincinnati would play Alabama. The winner of Notre Dame, Coastal Carolina, would have played Oklahoma. And Florida and Iowa State would have played Clemson. So potentially Florida and Clemson could be playing in the second round. That would have been a great game, guys. And then Ohio State would have played the winner of Texas A&M and Indiana. So Indiana's pretty close to Chicago. So you're going to get that Chicago market in there. Those games don't sound interesting at all. Yeah, that's what Colin Cowherd said. You'll get a lot of blowouts. Cincinnati would look good with Georgia throughout the third quarter. Then it would be 38-6. Yeah, I get it. Now, Carlos, I had to disagree. Ohio State and Texas A&M, Keelan Mond was drafted. I want to say the Texas A&M quarterback, I want to say he got drafted to Minnesota early, 3rd round, something like that. And then Ohio State's got Justin Fields. So I disagree with you. I think that would have been a good game. Ohio State and Texas A&M would have been a pretty good game. And I think Clemson and Florida, Kyle Trask and of course, Trevor Lawrence, number 1 overall pick. I think that would have been a pretty good game. You're saying that, but remember, Florida's got a lot of pros. Kyle Trask and Kyle Pitts, the 2 Kyles, were both first-round picks. Clemson was a little bit overrated defensively last year. Fields had a field day with Clemson pickles. Not all of them. I mean, Notre Dame, Coastal Carolina have been boring. You're right. Georgia probably would wipe the floor with Cincinnati second half. But Texas A&M, Indiana's a pretty good program now, guys. The bad part about it, yes. The cons, it waters down September and October football. Okay? I want more height on the regular season. The NCAA, guys, it's a 3-week sport. The basketball tournament, it's fun, but it's a 3-week sport. And, yeah, Florida and Clemson, those are recruiting battles. So that would be the bad part of it. I get it, But trying to think of there's not really many, other cons would be lower non-power schools becoming less interesting. Yeah, the bowls will be that much boring, but the bowl games are boring anyways, guys. The bowl games are Michigan. You're right. Michigan and Penn State wouldn't even mention. Yeah, they wouldn't even mention in it. So I just, it is what it is. It's a money grab. It's a money grab. And there have been discussions that, and Colin, I give him credit. He's brought this up, and he's got a good point, guys. As much as I love football down here, it's becoming the SEC and maybe Oklahoma and maybe Ohio State, and that's it. I mean, we work harder at it down here. We take it more serious down here. Maybe that's a bad thing. I don't know. But you're always going to have winners and losers. You can never make it. But if you put this in here, you can it will keep those early December games. And there's an ESPN article that goes with it about there's no limit number of teams from conference. So you will essentially get, like, say, for instance, if the SEC is red hot one year, where you've got an LSU, you've got a Georgia, you've got a Florida, Alabama, and Auburn, if all those teams are in the top 10, they all get in. The SEC is not that hot every year. I would agree with that, Carlos. It's not red hot like that every year. Some years it is. A few years ago when you had Alabama, LSU, Georgia, Florida, yes. But I do think that when you got Jimbo Fisher at Texas A&M, and it is excellent as the recruiting is in Georgia, Florida, those teams are going to play really well. I don't know what's going to happen with that new coach, but remember LSU and Alabama too. So those teams I just named are going to consistently, more often than not, be there. Tennessee, we don't know what's going to happen. And, those other teams. Now, remember, guys, Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss. Can't remember the Mississippi State. Yeah, I forgot about Kentucky. Kentucky has got the Stoops brother. Who is the coach now at Mississippi State, guys? Help me out here. Mississippi State is got the guy from Washington State. He's a little quirky, throws the ball all over the place, but he's a good coach. He wins everywhere he goes. You know what I'm talking about, Carlos. But so this is a very competitive I don't know if you're going to get 6 teams out of it every year. No, that's not. But I do think you're going to get 2 or 3. I mean, Georgia and Alabama, Nick Saban just signed an extension, and Georgia's still recruiting at a high level. And some are saying that some of the reporters out of Georgia saying they're going to be favored, and they're probably going to win every game by double digits next year. Maybe not every game that's in the regular season, not named Clemson, that they're going to be win by double digits, and they may be favored by double digits. Talk is cheap. They've had problems with quarterback. We'll see. But it is what it is. You know, it is what it is. In other news, everybody, Rudy Gobert won the Defensive Player of the Year. You know, I noticed that Milwaukee barely won. Now, this is going to be a gentleman's sweep. I think this is going to be over in 5. Rudy Gobert, center for Utah, won Defensive Player of the Year, made key block. I know everybody. I think Utah is going to win tonight. I think they're going to win that series in probably 6. Phoenix is playing great. We'll see. I think that Utah is going to get Conley back, and I think they're going to end up winning the West, just like I predicted. And I believe Philadelphia is going to come back and win that Atlanta series, but I think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be 7 games. Still sticking with my guns, basically. I'm just going through my notes and stuff, everybody. So those are my playoff notes. Also, there is a speaking of cheesy, you know, Peyton Manning has got this TV game show coming out, Pickles. I don't know if you've heard about this. Have you heard about this, Carlos? Monty Williams. Well, Williams, pretty good coach, you know, but he is doing a really good job. But if I had to pick coach of the year for the playoffs, I would take the Atlanta coach. The Atlanta's number 1 defense right now in the NBA. I guess you guys didn't know that, did you? Okay, so Peyton Manning will be doing, and his brother Eli and their other brother. What's Manning doing this summer? He's going to be hosting NBC's College Bowl, and guess who's his sidekick? So this is a reboot of a game show, guys, that will be on June the 22nd with, Nate McMillan. Thank you, Pickles. So Peyton Manning, Eli Manning, and Cooper. By the way, Cooper, Pickles, the brother, speaking of college football, their son, Arch Manning, named after their granddad, Archie, threw a 50-yard pass at a Clemson football camp the other day. 2 years from now, this guy is going to be one of the highest recruits in the country, if not the highest recruit in the country. So, but, you know, so on NBC, June the 22nd, 8 o'clock, they're going to have a College Bowl game show. I guess this is going to be like a trivial type of game that Peyton Manning, other participating schools, it's going to be, it looks like people from different schools are into some kind of ridiculous game show for scholarships. It sounds corny as all get out, if you ask me. And, you know, when Peyton Manning retired in 2016, we're 5 years removed from that, guys. I thought to myself, this guy is either going to be a college coach, he's going to be a professional coach, he may be a general manager in an office somewhere. He may pony up the money and try to buy an organization and own a team. And none of that stuff has came about. I mean, it came to fruition. I know it's his prerogative. He can do what he wants to do. I get it. He's turned down Monday Night Football multiple times. He's turned down Sunday Night Football, NBC, multiple times. He would be great at that. But I think, in my opinion of Peyton Manning, that he's doing a game disservice with what he's doing. I think he should do one of those things. But it's his life. I get it. I'm just saying I would have liked to seen that mind at work doing like a Monday night, doing an analysis type of stuff. But I think the guy, he was so intense during his career Maybe he just wants to spend more time with his family. God knows he's made so much money that he don't have to worry about work again. I get it, but I'm really disappointed, and maybe that he does go back to doing that. But part of me thinks that Peyton Manning just wants to be. I think he wants to be a comedian. I think he wants to play in movies and stuff. He's done Saturday Night Live. He's funny a little bit, but I think he thinks he's funnier than what he is. I think he thinks that he is a bigger celebrity than what he is. And I'll be honest with you guys, I'm a little disappointed. I'm really disappointed that he's not actor comedian. Yeah, that's what he wants to be. He wants to be Will Ferrell. And he wants, but, Pickles, you're saying he's a competitive guy. I think he is too. I think he's just, he's really selling himself short, I think he would be he could do college, he could do pro, and it's got to be something to do with the family. It's got to be something personal like that. I've never seen Peyton's Place. I've seen a lot of his commercials. Some of them are funny. Eli's a lot more laid back. I'll probably watch the show because you guys know that the summer is a drag this year. I mean, we'll have playoffs and stuff, but I'll check it out. I'll watch it. I mean, I like the guy. I like his brother. Eli is a quiet guy that does have a sense of humor. He's got good timing. Could they all do a show together, the three brothers? Possibly. But I think the nephew and the son, Arch, there's going to be a war to get him like nobody's business. It's going to be either Clemson, Alabama. It's going to be somebody. And, of course, if Lane Kiffin could have anything to do with it, he's going to go after him. But we got 2 years of just crazy talk for Arch Manning. I don't know if you guys seen that on the internet the other day, Pickles. But the son is 2 years away from college. He threw a 50-yard touchdown on film, Pickles. A 50-yard touchdown. So, possibly moving to the west. It just depends on where he wants to. Who's going to be coaching him? There's so many good coaches in the SEC. He may surprise everybody and go to Ohio State, but I doubt it. I think he'll probably, Granddaddy went to Ole Miss. Uncle Eli went to Ole Miss. His name is Arch, but he might pull a Peyton because his name is Arch and go to, but you're saying he don't need the coaching, but Dad, Granddad, and Uncle's going to say, no, we want you to be with a good coach. Remember, the offensive coordinator who also coached Eli. Now, he could go to Cutcliffe, guys. David Cutcliffe at Duke. Well, that would be terrible because they won't be playing for national championships. Now, if Tennessee could find a way to get David Cutcliffe, that would be great. Now, Tennessee's not even on his radar. So, but I feel like David Cutcliffe is what brought Peyton in. And more, David Cutcliffe coached Eli. David Cutcliffe is the head coach at he's a good quarterback coach now. But, that's why you got Daniel Jones, Carlos. And if Jones don't show up this year, he will be gone. Maybe it was a David Cutcliffe coaching is why you're stuck with the Giants. So I can see what you mean by him being a terrible coach. Good quarterback coach, good offensive mind. Proof is in the pudding with the guy, man. I mean, geez. He coached 2 Super Bowl winners. He coached a national championship guy, and he got god-awful Duke to the playoffs. I disagree with you there, brother. Jones is garbage. Man, you are hardcore, Carlos. Oh, yeah. Oh, go on, Jones? Yeah. We will find out this year. My guess is they don't make the playoffs. He's gone, and that general manager is gone, Dave Gettleman. I'll win the program with that, guys. I don't think I've got anything else. I had another rough day. It's pouring down rain here in Nashville, and I got behind one accident after another. Again, I like Utah tonight. I like Utah in game 2, and still like Brooklyn winning 5 or 6, guys. So anyways, have a good night, guys. You know I'll be 7:30 a.m. pending on something happening. 7:30 a.m. Central Time on the Mac and Jack Show. You can find me there on the Northeast Streaming Sports YouTube or Max Sports. Look that up on Facebook. I'll be there about 30 minutes with the guys. We'll be talking about this week and this week in sports. If you want to contribute to the show, use the Zelle app, just like Pickles got on the screen here. You can go to the Zelle app with through SportsSkope at gmail.com. The word sports, word SKOPE at gmail.com. Kathy, I know you sent me something on them. That'll be okay. I'll be just fine there. Bank of America's got plenty of security to take care of me, okay? Have a good night, everybody. I will see you. If not on the Mac and Jack, I will be back here around 9 p.m. Central Time here on SportsSkope.